So I got a request about a week or so ago about best ships for each faction. Now, if I made a video about this in terms of thorough analysis, this video could probably be like 2 or 3 hours long. And frankly, I don't want to make a video that long, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. We will be doing top 5. And if it's a smaller faction, quote unquote smaller, we'll do top 3 ships for each faction. So it'll probably be about maybe 35-ish ships in this video. That would be considered good. Now keep in mind there are a lot of factions that have really good ships out there, even above 5 of them. And if I don't talk about them, I'm sorry. But this video that I'm making will be just the top ships for each faction, since that's the question I got asked for, and that's probably what the person that made the comment is looking for. So I'll be doing that. Right, so I have 2 ships missing as of right now because I've been lazy on my PR researches. So we will be missing in this video, if I can find the not obtained, we'll be missing Harbin and Chiklavov. I'll probably butcher that name, but I don't care at this point. Missing these 2 ships. I'll probably mention them when I get to them, but we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Right, let's go down the list. So we're starting with the Eagle Union. The top 3 ships, or top 5 ships, I'd say, in this faction. Obviously, I'm pretty sure you guys know most of them already. It's going to be New Jersey. It's going to be Helena. It's going to be Enterprise. Now, coincidentally, it's funny how the top 3 ships I listed already all have oath skins, if you don't realize already. New Jersey has hers. Enterprise has hers for years now. And Helena's receiving her in about 3 days or so. So yeah, there's no mistaking it. They're beloved because they're not only fan favorites, they're also really good as well too. So yeah. Now the next 2 ships I don't consider to be top priority compared to New Jersey, Helena, and Enterprise. Obviously, these 3 are in their own league already. New Jersey being a high damage dealer, Helena being a good debuffer, really probably the best one in the game, and Enterprise being a really good carrier nuker as well too after the introduction of AP rockets. The next 2 ships aren't going to be as important, but they're still very good in their own way. Starting with Independence. Independence I'll be considering in the top 5 as well because of this skill right here. Supporting wings increases the aviation and reload to all carriers and light carriers in the same fleet by 12% and 10%. That is very good. Probably the best buffer we have as of right now that can still do decent damage for carriers that isn't IJN. So really good for USS. I consider her a really good ship. Now, this is the toughie part right here. The 5th slot either has to be Georgia or Anchorage. It depends on what kind of player you are. I think people still use Anchorage for PvP. So if you're more PvP oriented, Anchorage will be your best bet. Otherwise, if you're going for more PvE oriented for bossing, Georgia would probably be better here. I personally don't use Georgia anymore when it comes to my bossing fleet because there's obviously already 3 UR battleships that I can pick from. So to me, I'd say if I were to pick one of these, me personally, it's going to be Anchorage. I don't use her as much either, but if I had to pick one, I'd go with her. But either or option is fine. Georgia or Anchorage would be in the top 5. It depends on what kind of player you are. Otherwise, if you want to make top 6, there you go. Just both those ships will be added in. But personally, how I see it, I'm more PvE oriented, but I don't need Georgia because I have other battleships already. I'm going to pick Anchorage here because having more Vanguard tanks is nice to have, and her utility kit is really nice, so I can't go wrong with that. So those are my picks for USS. Next, we have Royal Navy. Royal Navy, this is going to be an easy one. Vanguard replaces Duke of York. Boom, there you go. Vanguard, a top ship for Royal Navy. Perseus, I don't have to talk about her. If there wasn't a cap of 3 million EXP right now, she'd probably have like 30 million EXP right now. Probably more than that. She always babysits my ships. She's the best healer in the game. So good. So good when it comes to using Perseus. Now, the other ships are going to be a little bit weirder, but still works out. Ark Royal still has her spot in top carriers as of right now. Until the day we get a third IJN carrier that can kick out Arc Royal and work with Haku Ryu and Shinano, she's going to stay in there for a triple carrier, a nuke. Now, if it's a light armor setup, I would probably replace Arc Royal for like August 1 Parsable. But when it comes to like medium armor or heavy armor, I would probably run with Arc Royal here. Or Enterprise, but I would probably run with Arc Royal. Now it comes a little bit trickier. Little bit trickier. All these other ships are like kind of useful to have, but it's like not mandatory. Like Drake is nice DPSer. Sirius has a nice buff. Duke of York, even though she got replaced by Vanguard, is still a really good buffer ship. And Hal's also a good battleship as well too. This is the part where it gets a little bit trickier. Little bit trickier. Honestly, if I had to pick two more, I would probably pick Duke of York. Even though Vanguard does replace her, you can just run both of them or run her on another fleet. I still think Duke of York is still a very, very good ship. And then after that, I'd probably say Drake. Drake as of right now is the best gun damage dealing Vanguard we have as of right now. Not fully torpedo oriented like KimoCheese or whatever. But in terms of like just raw gun damage, she's the highest as of right now. For just like any kind of end game well, not World 14, but like probably for like bossing or like Operation Sirens, very, very good. I like her damage a lot, especially after the Face Simulation 5. Really good here. Now, Sirius is a unique buff. She has a 10% aviation buff. She's still very good, but nowadays it's hard to find a slot for her without kicking out either a better buffer than her, like air raid assistance or Helena buff, unless you want to kick out a tank. But if you kick out a tank, you're probably not going to survive, so that's a bad idea. But it's still a really good buff regardless. And how she has a nice buff for battleships with the reload and the accuracy. She does decent damage as well too, but by no means is she like a premier battleship user as of right now. She was pretty good about a year ago, but now we have so much better options nowadays for battleships that it's not like the best anymore. So the takeaway from Royal Navy is going to be Vanguard, Perseus, not Monarch, my bad, being biased here, Arc Royal, Duke of York, and Drake. So these are going to be the top picks here for me for Royal Navy. All right, Sakura Empire right here. Now there's a lot of good ships in Sakura Empire, so it's hard to list 5, but I'll try my best to list it down to 5 that are like pretty good. Now, the first thing is first. Let's get this out of the way. The 3 URs that are mandatory here: KimoCheese, Shinano, and Haku Ryu. Haha, KimoCheese is not ranked. I know. I told myself I wasn't going to ring her because of lolly reasons, so we're not going to talk about that. But regardless, she's still a very good ship. KimoCheese, Shinano, Haku Ryu are really, really good here. Now, I'm going to talk about the next good ships. They're still very, very good, but it just gets the UR out of the way. First, Kazagumo. Kazagumo never leaves my carrier fleets at all. Very good, especially because Shinano requires 3 IJN ships to get her buff going. You have Shinano, you have Haku Ryu, you have Kazagumo. That's 3 IJN ships right there. Boom, you got your buff. So good. So good. Now it comes to a little bit trickier part. I'd say the best ships we have as of right now, depends on what kind of playstyle you have. Now, if I'm talking about a playstyle that's like super generally oriented, not like niche purposes, I'd say the best ship to take right here for most cases is probably gonna be Nagato. Nagato, if you're running like Shinano, Haku Ryu, boom, very good. There's also options like Azuma, but there's multiple tanks out there, and Azuma, even though she has pretty good damage on light armor, there's still just like there's other options out there for large cruisers like E-Girl or Kronstadt that does just as well, if not better, than what she can do. And there's other carriers as well too that I can talk about, but they're not like super amazing. Naganami, I heard, was a really good torpedo warrior, but again, niche purposes. Shokaku is also a really good carrier as well too, but then again, I don't use her as much nowadays because her damage is kind of lacking. If I'm running full carrier stuff, I just do Shinano, Haku Ryu, and Arc Royal, or I drop out Arc Royal and I replace her with August 1 Parsable, so get a very, very good result. So Shokaku, she was good like 2 years ago. But nowadays we have much more better options out there, I'd say. So I'm just not a big fan of it. So Nagato, her universal buff today is still very, very good. It's hard to replace this buff. It's just too damn good. Too damn good. So my top picks for IGN is going to be Shimakaze, Shinano, Hakuryu, Kazugumo, and Nagato. Simple as that. Iron Blood. Right, so Iron Blood here. We have... This one is going to be a little bit trickier as well, too. But I'm going to try my best to label it down. Not coming down. Ew. Label it down to the best 5 here. So I think submarines are cheating. Submarines, I'm gonna put them off in their own category. These submarines, like, they have the best submarines, yeah, but I'm talking about like main fleet ships. So the submarines, KMS has really good subs. Let's not talk about that. I'll put them off on like some other island somewhere. You guys already know that KMS has really good carriers or not submarines, so ignore that. But when it comes to actual ships for fleets, let's talk about it. Right, E-Girl. Probably the #1 large cruiser being used as of right now. Super good at what she does. Very durable, does a lot of damage. Can't go wrong with that. Really good ship. Ulrich, the best KMS battleship as of right now, and probably #2 battleship in the game as of right now. Really high damage, very consistent damage as well too. I gotta say, very consistent. Can't go wrong with it. Very good ship. August von Parsifal. I say August von Parsifal is still really good. She has niche purposes, but at that niche, she's very good at it. You guys have seen my Arbiter Temperance video where she literally was like a margin behind Hakuryu in damage. If my August von Parsifal was ringed, probably would have caught up to her. I'm not even kidding you. Probably would have caught up to her. So these are my 3 favorites as of right now. Now comes the tricky part. In terms of what I think are the best KMS ships to have. Personally, I'd say the next 2 good ships to have for KMS would probably be Rune Moose. Very good universal buff, very durable as well too, decent damage. So that's a good ship there. And then I would probably pick FDG. FDG, even though I know some of you guys out there, KMS fans and whatnot, love this ship, she's not as good as bossing anymore compared to many options nowadays. But she's very durable. She's really good at being a solo battleship. If you're running like 2 carriers and 1 battleship, she's very good at being a solo battleship because of her I think it was was it this one? Where else? The Symphony of Destruction right here. Proximity Barrage. It's very good. She's a really good ship overall. For bossing, I wouldn't say she's the best, but overall, I think when it comes to like actual battleship as a solo, not bad at all. Not bad at all. For like just regular PvE, really good. So my top 5 here is gonna be E-Girl, Rune Moose, August von Parsifal, Ulrich von Houten, and FDG. So there we go. Now let's go on to Dragon Empery. So once again, I don't have Harbin, and it's a smaller faction, so we're gonna have to pick 3. I think the top 3 here is going to be the Missile Barrage DDs that we just got about 8 months ago, I think. So Anshan and Changchun and Harbin. Now Harbin, I haven't tested it out yet, so I wouldn't know. But if I were to give like actual opinions about the Chinese ships, when it comes to actual performances, these 2 DDs are probably going to be the best ones out of this whole batch. I'm not even kidding you. The Chinese ships aren't amazing. But if I were to pick 2 that are going to be the best performers out of this batch, it's going to be the 2 DDs. And probably Harbin when she comes out, because she's a PR ship and they have more incentives over just basic ships most of the time. Oh, my bad. Let's go to Sardegna, Italian, whatever you want to call them. The top 3 ships from this faction. Veneta, obviously, flagship. She has a buff. Can't go wrong with that. Aquila as well too. Again, too good. Way too good. The best, probably one of the best PvP ships of the right now. I think. Not exactly sure about that one, but I think it's still really good. And after that, it's a toss up. Um, I'd say if you want general usage, ooh, it's actually a really tough one. I think Duca has some light in PvP. I don't know if she's still viable in PvP, but I know back then people used her a lot. Marco Polo, even though I roasted her last video, if you're using her in Operation Assignment as like a cross fleet procer or like just farming for like regular maps, she does see some light, just not in the main fleet that you're farming with, just the off fleet. So I'd say the third slot here is probably gonna be Marco Polo. Imperil is also a really good ship too. Like, don't get me wrong, she's still a really good ship as well too. But I'd say, especially after the Face M5, Marco Polo's gonna get a buff. I want to say she's probably the next ship to see the most light, because that cross fleet barrage, even though it's not significant, it's still something contributing to your sorties. So you can't go wrong with that. Now it's a really close pick, don't get me wrong. Imperial Duca are really good ships as well too. But I just gotta give it to Marco. Roma is good as well too. Forgot about Roma. So I'd probably give it to Marco Polo because of the cross fleet barrage as the third best ship. Northern Parliament, Russia. Now, what do we have here? The top 3 ships for this one. They got a carrier, Cheklovov. Probably butchered that, but I don't care at this point. I'm gonna put her in there, even though I haven't tested her out yet. I'm gonna say she's a really, really good ship. She's similar to August von Parzival, but works for like medium heavy armor, I think. So I'm gonna add her in there. Next 2 ships I would add are gonna be. Ooh, this is gonna be a toughie. I have a lot of these ships maxed out, but I forgot how they performed. Like, I forgot how Volga performed. Ooh, this is gonna be a tough one. I'm gonna say, okay, let's add Kronstadt in there. I feel like Kronstadt deserves a top 3 spot in Northern Parliament, so we'll toss her in there. So Cheklovov and Kronstadt. We need one more. Now this one is gonna be up for grabs because Avra is a good Vanguard buffer, but she does no damage. Kirov is also a good buffer, but for the first rotation, so good for EX stuff, but that's niche. The other ships are just out there. They're like pretty good or whatever, but like not like super excel at what they do. Honestly, I feel like I want to add Volga in here. I'm not exactly sure though. I think I'm gonna say Volga. Now I want to say Volga because you could probably get like a Volga and Cheklovov combo going with some kind of like setup for that, but I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna do. I gotta check her plane loadout real quick. I think that's probably the best bet though. Fighter slot, torpedo bomber. It's like pretty basic. So I want to say Volga, but this one's like up there because I think Avra is also really useful too, and Kirov. So like, I don't know. I'll say Cheklovov, Kronstadt, Volga. I guess that's probably what I would pick. It's a very like on the border decision though. I'm not like too confident on that third pick. So, but I'm gonna go with Volga though. Is what I pick for this one. Iris Liberty. So there's like 2 different French ones. I guess I'll do 3 for each. This one's gonna be very easy. Now my breast isn't maxed out yet, but I'm gonna toss her there in regardless. Richelieu, can't go wrong. Richelieu preload barrage, really good faction buffer as well too. Boom, I just can't go wrong with that. And then Gion, the Shield, really good ship. Early days of Operation Assignment, she was really good. Can't go wrong with her. Defensive ship, really good one as well too. Solid. So Richelieu, Gion, and Brest are options to pick here. And Vichya Dominion, this faction is just like I wouldn't know. This faction has like a lot of ships I'm just like not confident in or whatever. So we'll go with Joffrey. I think Joffrey's pretty solid. Let me check her playing loadout again. Like I have all these ships maxed out. I just forgot how they perform because I never use them like actual content. So I'd say like Joffrey's pretty good. Yeah, I think she. Oh wait, she has crit. Oh. Okay, we'll go with Joffrey. I think Joffrey's okay. And after that, Gas Cone. And then after that, I just don't know. We'll go with Allergies because she's a tank. Probably the best option in here. JB is not consistent enough for me to pick her. Gas Cone moves. I've never maxed mine out, so I wouldn't know how she performed. I don't even think that's even that good to begin with. Other ships, though, I'm just not interested in most of them. So we'll go with Allergies here. And then other, most of these are collab ships. I personally just don't max my collab ships. There's a lot of meta ships in here as well too. I know Rika is good. Shisei is good. That last collab had really good ships actually. Like Yume, like all these SSRs from the Gridman collab was actually really good. I know Aqua's pretty nice. Then I think after that the collabs look like kind of whatever, honestly. All the collab ships before Hololive are like whatever. Like I don't remember most of these ships being like really good. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of them. So that is that. I think I covered all the ships I want to in topic. Oh, Helena Meta as well is good too. A lot of the meta ships are like whatever, but I think top 3 meta ships I would pick is like Helena Meta. Herdy does pretty decent damage, I'm not gonna lie. Arc Royal's like meh. But I haven't maxed out the other ones, so I wouldn't know how they performed. But I think Helena Meta is probably like the best one here. So once again, all those ships are covered. Those are my favorites, or I think what I consider to be the best out of the bunch. Now, obviously, there are a lot of ships in some factions that are really, really good. And I can't cover all of them, but just leveled like the top 5 or top 3, depending on the how big the faction is and what my favorites are. Yeah. So, any questions? Feel free to ask them or whatever. That is it for this video. Hope you all enjoy it, and as always, I'll see you on next video. Thanks for watching.